Hello and welcome to episode 30 of Columbus Local Podcast. I'm Len D'Amico, and tonight we have David Harris. David is a musician. He does have some history in Columbus, Ohio area. He is the founder of LoveSick Radio, and he's involved in various other original music projects. David, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
It's always good to have someone that is experienced and lived the tales as you have.
It's something. It's a good life.
It is a good life. It's good to see and hear and experience the shows that are put on not only here in Columbus locally in various venues, but you're traveling the world.
Oh yeah, I'm very fortunate. I don't take it for granted at all. It's like
the blessings are there and you appreciate them.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
That's
like,
so cool.
It's a hard life sometimes, but you know what? It's worth it. Just to wake up in different cities and seeing people smile just because of the music you wrote or whatever. It's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And you're a guitarist at heart, but you're very entrepreneurial with what you've been able to foster and to produce, and to cultivate the talent that you get to work with. Let's talk a little bit about LoveSick Radio and what's going on with that band right now.
We're currently finishing up a new record. It's going to put it out through Earache Records, and I believe the first quarter of next year. So we got to finish a couple more songs, and then that will be done. We a guy named Kevin Shirley is mixing a lot of the songs on the record, who did Aerosmith, Nine Lives, almost all of Joe Bonamassa's stuff, Black Crowes, By Your Side, those reissues that Led Zeppelin put out. I believe he did a lot of remixes and remastered them. But yeah, he has a great ear. So it's really, that's what we're doing right now. That's what LoveSick's doing right now.
That's a beautiful thing to be doing.
Oh yeah, no, it's I love writing music, and we have a lot of. We wrote. I don't remember how many songs we wrote for this record so far, but we just want to put out a really cohesive, just killer rock record. And I think by just touring a lot and seeing what songs really work and kind of help develop what the sound is. And, just kind of do something kind of well-rounded, have some great ballads on there. And my singer, Troy, and I just really are passionate about writing great songs. We want people to get lost in the story, and maybe it tells their story. Who knows?
Well, having seen LoveSick Radio recently, I, for one, really appreciate the fact that your band is keeping rock alive out there, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Like in the midst of a lot of computerized and I'll say non-rock and roll, but you guys are obviously, with your influence, heavily guitar based, driving rock beat, and thoughtful lyrics that I think just make it a good, solid rock performance.
Thanks, man.
The energy on stage, and David, I when I saw you, you were barefoot on stage.
Yeah, I got big feet. I fall over my stuff, my pedals. So I got to watch what I'm doing. I feel more comfortable, honestly, without my stupid shoes on, jumping around like an idiot.
It's a good high energy show, man.
Yeah.
The rock is appreciated.
Oh, thank you, man. We love doing it, and that was a fun show. It was I don't know, you mentioned bands using like tracks and stuff. I don't think that's their preference if they want to do it. I know we don't like to do it because we like to be a live band. And I don't know. I think music, when you look back at the history of it, it was about the live performance, having those warts and all. That's what makes live shows cool. You don't want to listen to the CD when you go see a live show.
For sure.
Yeah. I want to hear it. Like we can, move stuff around and try different things, and I might play something a little differently, and it makes it fun. I don't want to be like stuck in that box.
Right. Now, do you find that same approach, if you will, holding into your recording activities? Like when you're in studio, do you guys perform in one room, or are you still doing it a little differently?
We do it all different types of ways. It just depends. Like a lot of the songs on this record, we kind of like went in and like did the drums and guitars at the same time, or do a bunch of overdubs, just because of the time frame to get into the studio and do things. And then when we go to say the vocals are done, then I go back and start doing guitar stuff. It just like try a bunch of different things and have those moments where you don't know what you're doing and throw it down, just to be open, trying to capture that, that wave of influence.
Organic moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you never know. I mean, those mistakes are what usually the coolest parts, right? That's what Jimmy Page said anyway. So
that's cool. So was Jimmy one of your influencers?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, I use a lot of weird tunings. So it was like, it's like anybody that was like doing like, there was like Robert Johnson and stuff. My mom would introduce me to the Rolling Stones, Keith Richards, Black Crowes, Rich Robinson, those G tunings and E. But yeah, Jimmy Page was definitely one of them. Joe Perry, Hendrix. I don't play anything like Hendrix, but I love his stuff. He's super influential, if I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But no, it's just, I love not knowing what I'm doing when I'm writing a song. Because, standard's great, and I don't use it too often. But I know what I'm going to do sometimes, and I feel if I'm thinking about it, that's if I know where I'm going, that's the worst for me. It's like I'd like to not think. I just want to be open to that, to be that antenna, to have the music come through me. Does that make sense?
Satori.
Yeah.
The state of Satori.
Exactly.
You familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's where it's at.
It's true. I mean,
totally.
You just want to be open, man. You're just the antenna. It's all around us.
It is. And it's amazing how many musicians will reference the energy and the fabric of the universe and tapping into the musical nature of what's there that they can see and feel. And you're obviously one of those people that are involved in that level of existence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, music, and you write songs and stuff. It's like artists have a pad or something they're writing on, or paint, whatever. We're creating something out of thin air. So like it's coming through us. So it's a crazy thing to think about, and I try not to, because that's when I screw up. That's when I don't do anything good when I'm thinking about it. So I don't know. I just try to be open, and I don't know. That's what I tell the guys when I'm writing with it. Don't think. Stop thinking about it. Don't analyze it. Just go with it. We can change stuff later. Get out of your own way.
You're so blessed, man. You are. I mean, that's so cool. I think, too, that people around you, I'm sure, appreciate, your approach and your leadership in guiding process, and, not to worry so much about, planning ahead. Let it organically occur.
Yeah.
That's where the fun is.
Well, I'm lucky, because I think I get to work with a lot of very talented people. You want to be the least talented person in the room. That's why I say, well, that's what I feel like anyway. I think everybody around me is more talented than me. So it's like working with those guys who, whatever band I'm in, it inspires me to try to, keep up with them or try to outshine them or something. But yeah, it's like Troy's a great songwriter lyrically and melody wise, and we bounce stuff off each other, and it's really cool where we take something, because there's no egos. It's like whatever works in the end. So, and same with my other band, Crash and Wayward, working with Pete, who has a totally different voice and lyric style than me or Troy. So it's kind of interesting to write with him, because he's like so different than me.
Well, and so different from Troy as well.
Oh yeah,
vocally,
totally.
and from a lyric approach.
Right? Oh yeah, he writes a lot of like Troy's more of a story guy,
definitely
comes
through.
Yeah, you get that, like he'll like tell a story, and you kind of or a conversational type piece. And Pete is total opposite. He paints a picture in a totally different way, which it's really cool. And like I said, I don't write like that, so it's kind of interesting to work on something with him and then say, hey, what about we change this? Because and he's open to it as well. So it's all about whatever's best for the song. But it's interesting just to work with so many different types of people. It's cool. I don't know. I'm lucky.
It's very cool. I think, you might feel lucky, but I think that it's probably just a natural fit for you, to be able to work with where you're working and spending your time in the space, right? And getting in front of the best that are available, and just leveraging those moments,
Oh, totally.
It's awesome. So with LoveSick Radio, working on the album, is there kind of a estimated arrival of the finish? And when there's a release planned?
I think we have to get it done before the new year so we can get it out early next year. We'll have a single. We might release a couple songs before next year, just so we can keep things moving, because you know how the world is now. You have to put stuff out all the time or people forget about you.
Look at U2 with the Sphere.
Oh,
right?
dude.
Their drummer's down and they're out there doing this Sphere thing, right? It's like, whoa. Talk about trying to stay relevant during a down period. I mean,
totally.
That was huge.
We were just, I was just there, and we were recording for my other Crash and Wayward band. We were in Vegas recording, and we were doing a cover of a Post Malone song, and we talked about doing kind of an U2 influence on it. Like that Streets Have No Name? Is that what the song's called? A lot of delay. The song turned out really cool, but that night U2 was doing something on Fremont Street where they were shooting a video, and their drummer who's down for the count showed up to do the video. We're like, man, that was weird. We're doing something very U2-ish, and they're just literally down the street from us.
The energy.
Yeah. And that Sphere place is crazy. But it's interesting. Just I don't know where I'm going with this, but it was just cool that the U2 thing.
Oh yeah.
We just must have felt it in the city or something. That's why we went that U2 direction.
That's so cool, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, I'll have to play it for you. It's really cool. It's different. It's a song called Circles, which a lot of people have covered, like Sheryl Crow and Cadillac 3. It has a great lyric, but we did our own thing too.
Well, I have some lifelong friends that went out and saw the opening show of that Sphere.
Oh yeah,
U2 concert, and they're all from Michigan, Florida, and California, and they were just blown away by that whole thing. But if you have it recorded, I'd love to send it to them, and along with the podcast episode that just says, "Hey man, you were there when U2 was doing their video at this latest." This tour out there. It's cool. So you reside in Vegas as well. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I go between Ohio and Vegas.
Okay, nice.
So yeah, it's I have a lot of frequent flyer miles, and it's weird because like people I don't see Vegas as Vegas anymore. It's just another city. So there's a lot of traffic, but
there's a lot to do though, man.
Yeah, but I've done so much. It's like it's fun to go down and do there, but I'm usually there for work, so I'm just like doing the work and
getting out.
Yeah, I don't go out as much anymore there. It's kind of like it's just another city. Every city is amazing. Every place you go to has something different about it that makes it uniquely there. Whether it's the people, whether it's the buildings or the food or whatever, and it's a place that's very unique to itself, but there's so many people there, which is cool to walk around and see all the people. But people like put a lot of emphasis on it. Like, you're in Vegas, man, party. I'm like, I don't really do that.
Yeah.
I'm working.
Yeah, so, you're working. That's for sure. You got a lot. So when did LoveSick Radio start?
A version of LoveSick Radio started I feel like a long time ago. I don't remember the year now, but it was a rock band then, but the producer we worked with kind of steered it a certain way. And we had some success with it and toured a lot with it. But then we were actually moved to Vegas with a different manager. And we kind of put it to bed a little bit because the singer and the bass player kind of went to do life. They were like, we can't do this anymore, man. We got to go do our thing. I'm like, totally understand. So I kind of took a break from it and started doing other projects, working for some like pop artists and stuff and touring with that. And then I was writing songs, and a manager for one of the bands I was touring with said, I played for him. He's like, it's really good. You should put it out. It's the first song I wrote with Troy. I'm like, what should we call it? He said, just call it LoveSick Radio.
Wow.
I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't think that. I was like, we should probably come up with a different name because it's a totally different sound. He's like, just call it LoveSick Radio. Nobody knows. I'm like, okay. But then people, the internet, the way it is, everybody finds that old stuff. You can't hide from it. And it's, it's those. I'm really proud of that record we did. Some really great songwriting, really good pop songs. That's what kind of ended. I can't speak. I'm sorry. What they turned out to be was just great pop songs, and but with a rock edge and really good guitar stuff. But the new stuff is like, just more of the stuff my mom listened to when I was a kid. Like the Black Crowes and the Stones, and a lot of slide guitar and just stories. It was just following our muse. We weren't trying to be anything other than just write good songs.
And you were having fun.
Yeah.
You were relatively young at the time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice. And then, so with, you guys will be lining up touring to support your new release then, I'm assuming.
yeah, we're probably going to go back over to Europe and, the UK and stuff next year. And do some stuff in America as well. Our label that we put out our stuff through is in the UK. So, I don't know what the plan is for it yet. I know we're going to be some videos, and hopefully we'll be playing every place that lets us play. But I'm looking forward to getting back over in Europe. Those people love the rock and roll. And it's my first time playing some of these places, like in Germany, and Prague was really cool. But those people were just so passionate about music, live music. And I was surprised how many people were out each show. I was like, what's going on? It was our first time over there.
This is this past year, 2023.
Yeah, it was like a couple months ago. Yeah.
Yeah. You're just back from that, last month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was a whirlwind. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of driving and bad hotel beds and no air conditioning. Every pillow that we had sucked, but the shows were great.
Well, and people are responding to your music.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. In a different language too. It's like how's this gonna go over? And we had nothing to worry about. The crowd was great. They were having a great time. They're cheering.
Do the European crowds, the bouncing crowds?
It depends on the venue.
Okay.
Yeah. So like some of the places we played we played smaller places. Some of them were bigger. It's like we played literally every type of venue you could think of over there. Some of them were like in little villages where it was like this. Was it in Germany? I think it was Germany. It was like almost like a saloon almost. It was like it had these church pews. We're like, I don't know how this is going to go over. We were all like worried, and it was fine. The crowd was great.
They came for American rock.
Oh,
right?
they loved it. They were like, they were dancing, having a good time, drinking huge things of beer, and it was a really fun show. I was like shocked, and because we're like, man, there's nothing in this little town or village as they call them, but they loved it. And like, it was weird because in Germany, all the promoters cooked us homemade meals. So we had rabbit that night, which I don't really eat red meat, which is not red meat. I found out rabbit's not red meat, but I don't think I would have known. If I would have known I probably wouldn't have eaten the rabbit, but it was good.
Tastes like chicken, right?
I don't know, but it was good. It was like in a stew. And the guy's like, I caught this morning.
Rabbit stew, freshly caught.
Yeah, it wasn't. He was lying to us.
Oh.
But I was like, because I was like, did you really catch that today? He's like, no. But he was a great guy. That was a fun show. But it was Europe, all the crowds are great, and the venues are great, the promoters are great, and I can't really complain. It was
sweet, man.
Yeah.
That's really sweet.
And we made sure to sightsee as much as possible.
So what's the craziest thing that happened on your tour, this latest tour?
On the European tour, man, was it?
Or was it just?
It was just constant going. It was constant. We had shows pretty much every single day. But you know what? Here's the story. Our first day there, we get in. Our driver picks us up. We get to our Airbnb. We don't have we have a show I think the next night. So we had one night to kind of get it together. So we went out to eat that first night, and we're like, oh, we have to go get something out of the van, and we'll have to bring it back to the Airbnb. So we go walk into the van. The van's gone. We're like, wait, is this the right street? Did the van get stolen? What happened to it? So the van got towed, basically. So our driver was just slightly off of the where he should park, and they towed him.
No soup for you.
No, exactly. But we were just like, oh, great. What a great way to start this whole trip out. And that's not even counting how we had to wait 4 hours in the hotel or the airport to get picked up.
So was your gear and all your clothes and stuff in the van?
Most of our clothes we brought inside already, like our luggage, but there's a couple things we needed to get out of there. But like all our amps and stuff were in there. So yeah, it was
that was an important.
Yeah, we need to get that van back, and we got it back, thank God. But it was not expected. It's still, and we had a great meal at some like little restaurant thing, and walking back feeling pretty good. They were like, what just happened to our van? What is going on? So,
sure.
Yeah, that was the first night. So, but the rest of it was, there wasn't anything that crazy that happened. It was because we were constantly on the go, just good shows.
Yeah.
I might be forgetting something, but I don't think I am. But yeah, it was fun.
Rocking from one spot to the next.
Pretty much.
Yeah, good. That's awesome. Yeah. As it should have been. And then you flew back and.
Yeah, well, we almost missed our flight on the way back, so that was kind of fun. But that's a whole other story. But actually what was great on that when we got to the airport, we're waiting. The most rock star moment we had was they let us on the plane before everybody. They're like, "LoveSick Radio, please come to the front of the line." So that was our rock star moment, just to get on the plane first for everybody else.
Did you get applause?
People were like, "Who's that? Who are those guys?"
Oh, they're rockers.
Yeah. So that was fun. But yeah, then
that's cool.
We flew to Amsterdam, and then we almost missed our flight. Our flight was boarding as we were landing in Amsterdam. So it was that was interesting, but we made it, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, running to the gate.
Oh yeah, and that's a huge airport. Flying to Amsterdam, you have to take a shuttle.
Completely international.
Oh, it's so huge. And then once we got to where the shuttle dropped us off, was a whole other half hour just to get to the flight. Oh well, but it was fun. Yeah, I don't think anything else happened other than it was hot everywhere we go. No air conditioning, no pillows sucked. But the sightseeing was great. Carl, our bass player who filled in for Glenn, was great over in Europe and taking us around. Berlin was a lot of fun. I don't know. It was a sightseeing tour pretty much.
You saw Prague too. Prague, they say, is an amazing city.
Oh, that was one of my favorites. It was beautiful. It was so old, and it was just had such a vibe, and the food was great. But yeah, that was a cool. Like I said, that's another place we just walked everywhere and just checked it out. This is the first tour I've done where I've done this much sightseeing. Usually we see stuff through the window as you're driving by it, like, hey, there's that. That's cool. But this is we made a point to get out there. So I don't think the guys in the band for doing that, because I probably wouldn't have done it.
That's good. They got you out there.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it a little bit more.
I tend to be a little, what's the word? Tarnished, or not tarnished, but jaded with seeing stuff sometimes.
Well, maybe that'll change more.
Yeah. Probably, hopefully, because it was a good time. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, you're learning.
I'm learning finally.
That's awesome, man. So what about Crashing Wayward then? This is another band. Did you start that band? Are you a founding member?
I mean, I guess kind of it was. Crashing Wayward started right before the pandemic happened. I was hired to play in another band, and this guy named Stacy Blades, who used to play in a band called LA Guns. He was one of the many guitar players they've had in that band. He was in that band for 10 years. But he had another band called Electric Radio Kings, I believe. And I was getting hired to play out some shows with them, and that band kind of imploded as we're out, I think in Houston, playing with a guy named Tom Kiefer from Cinderella, who's an awesome guitar player, singer, and songwriter. But so that band kind of fell apart, and we were talking, and he knew this guy named Pete, and we kind of got together, and it just kind of vibed really easy. So we're like, oh, let's write some songs, So I brought some stuff, and the first song I wrote was a song called "Disco Kills," and everybody's like, oh yeah, that's the one. So it kind of just we were like, okay, this is I guess we're making this is a new band now, and then the pandemic happened and everything shut down. So we were like, okay, let's just write some songs from across the world, because everybody was in kind of different spots. Pete was in somewhere in California. Carl, our bass player, was in California. Stacy was in Vegas, and the drummer, Sean, was in Vegas. And I was going back and forth. But so we were just like emailing ideas and songs, and we ended up making a record with a guy who was like Metallica's engineer for like 20 years. And if you ever watch that documentary they put out, he's the guy engineering with Bob Rock, the black hair guy. But it was we made a record with him during the pandemic. So
with remote
kind of
equipment, right?
Yeah.
Remote connectivity.
Yeah. So we'd go in sometimes, like I'd go to Vegas and it'd just be me and him in the studio.
Okay.
So you have to do like all the tests and like when you had to check your temperature and stuff. So there'd be like one person in there, the engineer and me.
Yep.
And that's how we made the record. And it was a totally different way I've ever made a record before because we did the drums last.
Oh my.
Yeah, so it's like it wasn't my favorite way of making a record, but it was interesting. I'm glad we did it. I would do a lot of things differently now because looking back, because I don't love the certain things about it, but it was interesting and it was inspiring just to be able to take things apart. So it did change how I write songs almost a little bit, just because
you were forced to do it separately, right? Mm-hmm. In pieces.
Yeah, exactly. So it was totally different.
Come together, obviously.
Yeah, it took a long time to come together for many reasons, but once we were really happy with the record. And Classic Rock Magazine, which is one of my favorite rock magazines, gave it a good review, a nice little write-up in their AC/DC 50th anniversary issue. So that was also cool because Angus is on the front of it.
That's so awesome.
Yeah. But it's a good record. Anybody who's listening, please check it out. I hope you like it. If you like not AC/DC, but like Stone Temple Pilots, The Cult, that kind of stuff.
It's definitely a different sound than LoveSick Radio. Yeah. And it's definitely got its own personality. Has a lot to do with, I think, the front guy.
Oh, totally.
But your presence is definitely felt in both projects.
Oh yeah,
I'm very guitar driven, man.
It's totally and again, a lot of weird tunings. Like I play a lot of slide every song. It's fun. I don't know. I love writing music and just different. I don't like to do one type of thing.
And Crashing Wayward has the one release, one album.
Yeah, we have our first record. It's out right now. I think we're 3 singles in. I think we have another single coming out here shortly with a couple different versions. Actually, a piano version I did at Joe's studio, and he outmixed it I wrote strings for it and stuff, and then a remix of the single. It's called Stranger Days, and then we're going to put out the Post Malone cover, which is basically now just a U2 song.
So when you say Joe's studio, you're talking about Columbus, Ohio's.
Yes. Sonic Lounge.
Joe
Veers, yeah.
Yeah.
He's my favorite engineer in Columbus.
The man.
Yeah. I've known him since I was a little kid, so he's like, it's like working with family.
That's so cool that you've known him that long.
Yeah. When he used to work at John Schwab, is that what it's called?
Sure, yeah.
So that's when I first started working with him, and I probably sucked.
There's a lot of people like me that have never met him, but we know all about him.
Dude, he's the best, man. I love that guy. He's funny. He has a cool ear. It's great to bounce ideas off of him. And, he's like I said, he's one of my favorite engineers in Columbus. It's old school to a point with miking techniques and getting good sounds on guitars and drums. He's
experience.
Yeah. He's very, passionate about what he does. And I think that shows in the projects he works with.
Absolutely. Yeah, and how fortunate are you to have that relationship and
I'm lucky, very lucky.
Work with someone like him too. Awesome. So, David, where were you? Where are you from, and how'd you end up in Columbus?
Well, my mother's English and my dad's American, so I moved to America when I was 5 to Columbus, Ohio. My dad was in the Air Force.
From where? Where were you born?
Manchester, England.
That's cool.
Yeah. So I came to America, and when I was 5, and we lived kind of by Eastland, the mall area. It was kind of like in the 5 minutes from there, 10 minutes from there. I really don't remember exactly. But then we moved to in between Lancaster and Canal Winchester, around like probably when I was 6. I don't remember. I was very young, and just kind of went to school there and grew up in Ohio.
Did you have a lot of music growing up?
My mom was a big music fan, so I think that inspired me to play music. When I was 6, she made me take piano lessons, and I didn't want to take piano. I wanted to play guitar. and she's like, if you a little bit piano, and then we'll get you a guitar. So I got a guitar finally, and then I stopped playing piano. Then I taught myself, and I just started writing songs. Like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was writing. Okay, I think this is a G chord or something. You kind of figure stuff out as you're going. But yeah, I used to write songs in a little yellow legal notepad and hide it underneath the couch. I don't know why. I'd hide it underneath the couch. Like, nobody's going to look under there and see my songs.
That was your diary, man.
I guess. I don't know what I was writing. I mean, there's what 6 years old or 7 years old, what are you going to write about, I think you're just listening to songs and you're writing, kind of copying. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this is what people write about. So I'm going to write about this. I don't know.
That's wild.
And I think I went, my mom took me to the first studio I went to. I wish I remember what it was called, but it was like all analog studio, reel to reel. And I don't know what I'm doing. So I was just playing. That was like my birthday present or Christmas present every year. I'm like, I want to record. And then we ended up at a place called Rome Studios. Do you remember that place?
I don't.
It was off like South High Street. It was like mostly like gospel studio. And Jack, when the owner was this older guy, he was like the nicest guy in the world. I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just like, oh, there's a drum set here. I'll play drums on something. I know what I'm doing. It was terrible, but he sat there and let me
go to town.
Oh yeah.
Kit.
I play, they had those like little packages. I think I had like $250 as my Christmas present or whatever. And I get like 6 hours. I'm like, 12 songs, let's go. It was terrible. But yeah, he kind of taught me actually how to run the board. And I worked there for a little bit during high school and like taught me how to splice tapes together. And because he used to sell tapes and stuff in the back for all the gospel people. So you kind of like, I did that in the back and it was interesting. It was an experience and I'll never forget that guy. He's not around anymore. And I'm sure Joyce, his wife's gone too. But yeah, that was
grateful memories.
Oh yeah. That
influential, obviously.
It just made me chase music more.
That's really cool.
Because he used to play when he's a country guy. I believe he lived in Nashville. He played the Grand Ole Opry and stuff. And
wow,
it was a trip being there. It was 24 track analog studio with big plates, reverbs. Just very old school. It was cool.
It sounds like it. Wow. So when did you find yourself tapping into the fabric of the universe and channeling some of your writing? I
mean, like I said, I've been writing terrible songs since I was 6, and they slowly got better.
Present then? I'm not trying to get weird. I'm just
no. You know what? Maybe it's something you don't really like as a kid. I think everybody can relate to. Like, you just do things. You don't really think about it. You're just like doing it. Like, whether it's getting in trouble or like stealing your mom's car and driving it to like Lancaster,
it's innate.
Yeah, you just do it.
Behavior.
Yeah,
this is what I do.
Exactly. So maybe I think just writing with other people and writing with better songwriters than me and learning from them, and then you kind of like when you just like where these ideas come from. It's like when you have like writer's block or something and nothing's coming out, and then you're like. When you start writing, you realize that the ideas come when you're not thinking and you're just like letting it go. It's like when you think too much, you just get in your own way. I think that's when I started to realize, like, man, this is coming from somewhere else.
That's wild.
And then it's kind of like, I just know my best stuff comes out, whether I'm playing in the studio, recording something. It's like when I'm just going for it and just getting out of my own way.
Yeah.
And you can only do that for so long because then you start thinking about it, not realizing it.
Yep.
You're like, oh, that was cool. Well, that's cool. Oh, shit, now I'm trying to do the same thing again to make it better when that other stuff was fine. But yeah, I think it just working with different people, then just wondering where the process of songwriting, listen to the songs that you love, like where those come from. Just the riffs and how they form those riffs and just studying and being open. I think it's just being open and then, I don't know. I hope I answered your question. I don't even know.
Yeah, no, I wasn't trying to be weird. It just,
oh, no, you're not.
Because I know from my own experience, I've written a couple of things that are very melodic and there's no lyrics. Mm-hmm. But, I do one track at a time. And when I'm doing a track, if I'm playing bass, I'm just letting it go and I'm like, okay, that's it, right? And then I'll do a rhythm track on a guitar, and then I'll throw some leads in there, and I don't redo anything. Like whatever happened, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's sort of like how I do the podcast. Like I don't edit the podcast. It's just a live. What happens.
Okay.
And so I can relate to what you're saying. I guess is my point. It's not something you can really answer. It's something that you just do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a unique gift, though. You know, you're truly blessed. You know, and these songs they're a lot of fun, man. If you like rock, both of these projects are there more? Are there other projects besides these that?
These are
right now?
I get hired to do stuff, go in the studio and stuff, but those are like just other things. Or I write with other people. But these are the two main ones at the moment that I'm focusing on. I mean, like the Crashing Wayward, we put our record out, not the full length this past year, and with a guy. Do you remember some guy named Ron Keel? Do you know who he is?
I do, and I know his guitar player David Cawthorn. He's an old friend of mine.
Oh wow! Ron put out this record.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he heard a song called "Stranger Days," and he's like, "Man, that song just wrecked my day." He's like, he listened to it like 20 times. He said, because he just loved the lyrics and the music. And I'm like, "Oh wow, man, thanks." And
so
he's like,
he called you up and said, "Hey, man."
Yeah, our drummer used to play with him.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all, like I said, they're all a little older than me, but he used to play with him. He sent the song to Ron, and he didn't hear back for a while. Then Ron's like, hit him up, listens, like, "This is an amazing song. I want to put your record out." We're like, "What?" I'm like, who's Ron Keel? I didn't know.
I know of him, right? Like just through David, his guitar player, and in the Ron Keel band.
Yes.
But what a big-hearted gentleman he is.
Totally.
This is just another example of, hearing how he helps others.
In looking back on it, like when one of the first shows I ever played when I was a little kid, and we sucked. We opened up for the Ron Keel band, which I forgot about. It was like Ron Keel and 38th Special, I think, over by where Easton is now.
Sounds right.
I think that's the band. I don't remember, but it's like we were terrible, and he was kind of a dick to me because we sucked. He's probably like, "What's this terrible kid band playing?" We just kind of got lucky, and somebody threw us on the show or something. I don't even know how we got the show,
Clear
but
the stage, man.
Yeah,
we're coming on.
Exactly. But it's just kind of funny that there's like okay, years later, it's like, "Oh, Ron Keel's putting out your record on his little startup label." So it's been interesting. He's a super nice guy. He's super tall too, but he has a lot of stories, and I love to hear stories from people. So every time I get to work with somebody who's like been in the business a long time, I'm always like, "Tell me some stories, man."
Yeah, but you have stories too, right?
Oh yeah, now I do, but I still like to hear them.
Yeah, I know. I'm sure you do.
Oh yeah.
But so hit us with a couple road rash stories.
Let me think.
You've traveled the world, man.
Oh yeah. Here's one of the first times we went to China to play. We're in Beijing. We have to get our connecting flight to somewhere else, and we're at the gate, and we all have our guitars and stuff, waiting. And then I'm like, look at our bass player, like, "Dude, where's your bass?" And he's like, he forgot to grab his bass from the at the when we had a changeover, and
we just left it.
Yeah. So those
seat.
like those old Looney Tune shows or whatever, like when the guy goes running and like the form of his body's still there, he's gone. That pretty much was him. Yeah, there was a smoke. That was him. We're like, okay. And so we're like, okay, then we have to board our plane. He's like trying to find his bass. So we're getting on the plane, and the singer and we're sitting in the front seat of the plane, just watching people come on. Like, okay, that's not him. That's not him. People stop coming all of a sudden. All of a sudden, they close the doors. And we're like, okay, we just lost our bass player, and he doesn't have a cell phone that's like working over here, and we're flying like an hour or 2 hours away. Then we have to get picked up and be driven to where this festival we're playing.
Together is the key word, right?
Yeah. So I'm the only person who has a working phone. Our tour manager, I'm talking to him, is like, "We need to call our manager once we land." So I'm like, "Hey, our bass player is missing." He's like, "What?" "Yeah, he didn't make it onto the plane." And I got to hand it to him. The guy, the ladies love him. He somehow met somebody, got them and got to use their computer. So he emailed me. He's like, I made it to the airport. So the promoter had to send somebody to drive like 3 hours back to pick him up and didn't drive back. So he made it. We're like, how are we going to play the show without him? We're like trying to figure it out. We're like freaking out. And it was funny, that show we also played with this guy who was in Survivor, the songwriter. Oh my God, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. He's written songs for 38 Special, Hang On Loosely, and oh my God, he was the nicest guy in the world. I can't remember his name to save my life. And he was like super cool, and he was telling us a bunch of stories. And he was just like this guy. He had like purple hair. We're like, who's this guy? And this is like legendary songwriter. What is his name? I can't think of his name.
I don't have my phone.
I'm gonna have to Google it. Yeah.
38. What is that? Hang On Lucy author or whatever. We could.
Yeah. We're up to. I'm gonna talk as I Google his name, and it's just, this is terrible. I'm sorry that I cannot remember his name.
It never fails, man. It's all good.
Is it Lucy? Is that it? Or Loosely?
Loosely. It's written, but that was, what's that? Classic rock. Wasn't, it was like rebel country rock, I think is what they called it. But like, Molly Hatchet, 38 Special. That was the era when I was in high school and whatnot.
That was 38 Special, right? Who did that?
Yes. Yeah, and that was all very popular, very much cowboys and cowboy boots. Urban Cowboy was like, one of the top movies at the time.
Oh wow, Jim Peterick was his name.
There you go.
He was in Survivor, wrote all these massive hits. And I was like, what's that? Eye of the Tiger, wrote that song. It was just, and he was just like, we had no idea. We met him in California, like in LA, waiting for a plane, because we saw him like, who is that guy? That guy's a story, because it was like purple everything. And he was like definitely an older gentleman, but it was like, dude, he has the coolest guitar collection. This amazing songwriter. He's just so cool. But yeah, that was a trip. But that was like our first time going to China, and like, I don't know. Or I mean, that's a China story.
Sure.
I can also, if you want another road story, we were on tour through somewhere in middle America, and our gas pedal stopped working. So our driver...
While you're on the freeway driving?
Yeah.
It just stopped working?
It just stopped working. So we have we're stuck. Our driver, who was a genius, we called him Buff, he took like string, went to under the hood.
So you pulled up. So when it stopped working, did it like the acceleration like reduced, and you kind of pulled over to the side of the road?
Yeah, exactly. We just pulled over to the side of the road.
We're just trying to see what was happening.
So we're stuck on the side of the road. We're like, oh, we just want to this is like the last day of the tour. We just want to get home. And Buff's like, don't worry.
I got it.
Yeah, he gets under the hood, gets a string, pulls it through his window, hands it to me. He's like, pull it, and I'll tell you when to stop. Okay, and then he pulls up his window, so it's like almost like cruise control. So we're doing the acceleration that way.
With a string?
With a string.
Going outside into the engine.
Yes.
And making it happen that way.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh.
I was like, we're going to die. There's no way we're going to make it all the way, because we had to make it to Cincinnati. There's no way we're going to make it to Cincinnati alive.
With the string.
Yeah, I'm just like, he's like, pull, we need more gas. We need more gas. I'm like, oh my God, okay. This is what... Yeah, that guy Buff, we miss you, man. He was a genius. That's crazy. I was like, I almost forgot about that story.
Oh, that's killer.
Yeah, but yeah, all those little things happen like that, or
And the brakes worked, right?
The brakes did work, so that was good. The gas was gone, but Buff's like, no problem, got it. I'm like, how would you think to do that? I don't know anything about cars, but how would you think to do that?
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
He's like, we're getting home no matter what.
Well, David, I mean, I hope you and the folks you're working with get some time through the holidays and have a great ending of 2023. Sounds like you had a wonderful European tour with LoveSick Radio in Europe. You're wrapping up some stuff through the end of this year, but I hope 2024 brings you a lot additional blessings with everything that you got going on, man.
I think it's going to be busy, and I like being busy. You know, I miss home and I miss seeing people and stuff, but you know, it's like that's the trade-off. You're going to do this, you're going to miss people. And you know, I thank God for the internet and stuff like that, and you can keep in touch all different types of ways.
It definitely brings the world to your phone.
It's weird. It's a weird. And when it doesn't work, like we're over in Europe, we have no signal. You know, you kind of like freak out for a minute. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I don't know how people did it back in the day, like with no GPS. They had to use a map. Like, how do they get around?
There were printed maps.
Yeah.
In books.
Yep.
It didn't fit in the glove box. They were so big.
But people got where they needed to go.
But they got where they needed to go.
They couldn't do it now.
It's amazing. So, David, let's put some links in the description of the episode.
Okay.
That'll be available on all the major podcasting platforms to all of the music that you'd like to have folks reach.
Okay.
Hopefully that'll give you some exposure to some additional rockers that want to hear some of this fabulous music.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, and you can anywhere you check out like social media, like Instagram, Crash Wayward, LoveSick Radio. You know, YouTube, same thing, Crash Wayward, LoveSick Radio, Facebook. You know, it's all the same, LoveSick Radio and Crash Wayward.
And it's all just professionally produced and presented, and it's a lot of fun, man. I enjoy exploring your body of work. It's because I love rock music, and this is it's a refreshing aspect to see someone like yourself keeping rock alive, you know, in today's age. So
yeah, and it's fun, man. I just wanted to write songs that hopefully stand up next to some of those songs. You know, it's like I remember when they played us in QFM '96, and it was like Aerosmith played after us. I'm like, no, that's cool because I'm a big Aerosmith guy, and it sounded right. It sounded perfectly natural next to that, which I was like, all right, we did something good there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, great, man. All right. Well, we'll take care of that. And we hope everybody listens to some of this music. And David, again, I know you're busy. I really appreciate you making the time today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate you just doing this.
You got it, man. All right. That is episode number 30 of Columbus Local Podcast. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.